All right, I think we're ready. Thanks for joining us today. We're really happy to have you here today for the Farm to Institution New England Forum on why you need USDA's National Agricultural Library for your farming and food systems work. My name is Tania Taranovski. I'm Farm to Institution New England's Director of Programs, and I'm pleased to be moderating today. Also helping out on today's webinar is FIND's Communication Manager, Sarah Lyman. Thank you, Sarah, for joining us. She's going to be helping out in the chat. If you have any questions or concerns, you can reach out to her through the chat. So I'd like to start today's webinar by highlighting some accessibility features we're offering for the first time today. I'd like to thank USDA and their Reasonable Accommodation Program because they're helping us with today's webinar to make sure that we can include American Sign Language interpretation and live transcription. To turn on the transcription, please click on the live transcript option at the bottom of your Zoom screen. You can then choose to view the transcript as a subtitle, or you can see the full text in the sidebar by selecting one of those two options. You can also use both. And as you may have noted, we're spotlighting the speaker, which is me right at the moment, as well as our ASL interpreters. So you should see at least 3 people alongside our slide presentations. You can adjust the speaker views by clicking the view option, which is in the top right-hand corner of your Zoom screen. It should be set to speaker to see the current speaker and the ASL interpreters. And like I said, if you have any questions or challenges with these options, please send a note to Sarah in the chat. You can also adjust the view of the speakers, the size of the boxes that we're in. There's a little line right next to the presentation slides, and you can slide that back and forth to make the slides a little smaller, and then you'll be able to see the interpreters and the speakers in a little bit of a larger format, if that helps. All right. Well, speaking of the chat, you can open that by clicking on the bottom of your screen. Most of you are probably familiar with our various Zoom options at this point, but the chat box is a place where you can share comments, and we'd love for you to actually take a moment to introduce yourselves right now. You can put your name and your organization, any other information you'd like to share, and we'd love to hear what brings you to this webinar today. If there is something in particular that you're hoping to learn, please add it into the chat. And we're also going to be using the Q&A button today. So if you want to ask a question, you can enter that anytime during the webinar. We will have a Q&A section towards the end of the webinar, and that's when we'll answer all the questions that come in. But please feel free to enter them anytime there. All right, so we are recording today's webinar. It will be posted online within a couple of days after today, and we'll share the link with all who have registered. You can also find all of our previous webinars and other video recordings on FIND's YouTube channel. Sarah will share a link in the chat. After a short introduction, I'm going to hand things over to our speakers. And like I said, we'll make sure to leave time for questions at the end of the webinar. And we'd also be really grateful if you would just take a few minutes to answer our brief evaluation survey. We'll leave you with a few helpful resources. If you've decided to use and take advantage of the transcription and the interpretation today, please make a note of that in the survey. We'd love to hear from you about that. Okay, before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to just tell you just a brief bit about FIND, about Farm to Institution New England. We're a cross-sector network of backbone organization, and our mission is to mobilize the power of New England's institutions to transform our food system. We actively work with K through 12 schools, colleges and universities, hospitals, prisons and jails, and we also have a new initiative with partners in the early childcare education sector. We're always interested in hearing from you and from helping people learn from each other. So for more information about what we do, please visit our website at farmtoinstitution.org. I mentioned that the campus sector, or colleges and universities, are one of the sectors that we work closely with. And in that, we support the work of the New England Farm and Sea to Campus Network. This network is a community of higher education and food system stakeholders who are connecting, sharing, and collaborating to develop more transparent regional supply chains and to educate campus communities about regional food systems. Our steering committee for the network has helped put together our webinar series, and this is actually the final webinar of our fall and winter series. So we're really glad that you can join us. We will be offering more soon. These webinars are just one of the ways that the network shares information, convenes people around key issues in our food system. With that, today, I'm really pleased to welcome you to this webinar that we're hoping will support the important food systems work you're all doing, whether you're conducting research or developing Harvest of the Month programs for schools, marketing products, looking for ideas or funding or information or other resources. You're probably going to find something you need and that you'll find useful in the National Agricultural Library. We were inspired to bring this webinar to you by working with the USDA on a number of different grants and during our summit last year. And we knew that the library was going to be something that would be really helpful, and it was amazing, just the sheer number of resources available there. So here to help us understand what those opportunities are to dig into those resources, we have Vanessa Gordon and Stephanie Ritchie. Vanessa is a plant breeder and molecular geneticist, and she currently serves as the coordinator of the Agricultural and Natural Resources for the National Agricultural Library's Alternative Farming Systems, Water and Agriculture, and Rural Information Systems. She's a United States Navy active duty veteran with a wide range of outreach experience with multiple audiences over the past 30 years. She serves on the Office of Urban Agriculture and Innovative Production Outreach Subcommittee. She helps represent NAL in environmental justice undertakings, and she's actively involved in creating new relationships, promulgating a greater intersection and understanding between USDA agricultural research pursuits and their meaningful integration with taxpayer farming goals. And also joining us is Stephanie Ritchie, who is the lead librarian for customer service at the U.S. Department of Agriculture's National Agricultural Library. In this role, Stephanie oversees services to both government and public researchers, including systematic review support, outreach and training for library resources, scientific publishing, and customer experience. She's been involved in agriculture work on farm, at the policy level, and in libraries for over 25 years. Prior to this position, she served as the liaison library to the University of Maryland College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, and she supported the research information needs of faculty and students and managed the university's collections in agriculture and related disciplines. And also joining us today are our ASL interpreters, Deborah Lakebrink and Janice Petrich. I'm hoping I said that right, Janice. Also, our captionist today is Teddy Jackson. So thank you for joining us. And now I'd like to hand things over to Vanessa Gordon. Vanessa?
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm trying to get my slides up on screen. Can you see them? Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Tania, for that wonderful welcome. And thank you to the audience for joining us today. And hopefully we'll have an interesting seminar for you and introduce you to some tools that the National Agricultural Library has to support you in your business pursuits as they relate to agriculture. I'd also like to thank our ASL interpreters and captioner who are here to extend our service and make sure that everybody has equal accessibility to the information we're providing today. We're going to move right into it. I'm here with my colleague, Stephanie, as you heard. She's a librarian expert, and she's here because she knows all of the information about the library that I don't, and that's quite a bit. So I'm grateful that she's here today to support me, and she's a much better speaker as well. So, okay. Just to start, the United States National Agricultural Library, or NAL, was established by President Abraham Lincoln in 1862 with the signing of the Organic Act. So that's back in 1862. The library is one of 5 national libraries, of which the Library of Congress is another. NAL houses one of the world's largest collections devoted to agricultural research. It has approximately 8 miles of stacks and is the library of the United States Department of Agriculture. So today, Stephanie and I have chosen some specific resources that we feel might be particularly valuable to the stakeholders of the Northeast Farm to Institution audience. And please keep in mind that this is going to be a very top level introduction, and there's a lot more information available than we might be able to cover today. So please reach out with questions. We're more than happy to help. The agenda also includes some time at the back end for the Q&A that Tania had mentioned earlier. So today, distinctly, we're going to be covering some publicly available digital resources. And I noticed that Stephanie noticed, and we have some audience members that have USDA access. You have more information than what's available to the public. But today we're going to discuss publicly available digital resources. So these are things that you can access online. There are many others physically located in the building. We're going to talk about some of the information support centers that might be more topically related to you in particular, where to find funding information. And then we're going to conclude with some examples of services and support that we can offer you. Again, if you just reach out, and they're freely available. So let's see, we're going to go ahead and move on. So with so much information at your fingertips, what is the easiest way to get started? So there are multiple ways to find information on the library website, but today we're going to start with what we would call a best bets. So here you're going to see the main library website. And in the upper right-hand corner, you're going to see a search box. So you would type in your search box, and in this case, funding, and click on the search icon. So from that simple search, what you're going to get is a list of descriptions and links to funding resources that are returned from across the library website. Here you'll see items including information from the alternative farming systems, rural and water and agriculture information centers that we're going to discuss a little bit later. So I just want to highlight, it may seem intuitive, but I'm going to highlight wording choice. So to ensure that we're effectively searching and, more importantly, identifying resources, you might want to consider using alternative terms that might also be utilized in the literature. So the National Agricultural Library Thesaurus, or NALT, is a helpful tool to helping you identify some of the alternative terms or synonyms. Note in this example, terms that can be useful when building a search on funding would be, financial support, subsidies, financing, grant or grants. It's also useful as a search tool. The thesaurus is bilingual, so it also offers results in Spanish and English. This is without a doubt, and Stephanie's probably, she's not smiling yet, but she knows I bring this up. This is without a doubt the most valuable tip that I will share with you today, I think. My former colleague passed this trick along to me, and I use it daily without exception for both work and personal research. So the search tip works for Google and Bing, and to use this tip correctly, you have to make sure that when you put a search term in, you'll put cite, you put your search term in, whatever the word is, and you put cite, colon, and then dot, and then whatever domain you're trying to search in. So .gov or .edu or .org. And if you put them all together, that cite, colon, dot, and then domain, what happens when you hit return is that the results are going to come back and they're going to be limited to the domain in which you searched. So for example, if you do a .gov search, the only items that are going to come back are from government sites, so federal, state, things like that. .edu will return results for education, university, college websites. And then the .org will return nonprofits, open source projects, communities, things like that. But what happens is that this search tip ensures that you bypass internet junk and get directly to the information. So I spent a lot of time on that slide, but it's the biggest trick I have in the book. And you can use it outside. So I'm going to turn this over to Stephanie now, she's the expert. So she's covering the next few slides on our online digital resources, and I'll be back when she's done.
Great. So I just wanted to add to what Vanessa was saying about the Thesaurus and some of the search tips, in that you can use the Thesaurus and some of those search tips inside of some of these information resource tools that we have at the library. And if you have questions about that, we'll show you how to connect to us, but we're always happy to help people that need assistance with searching some of the information resources we provide, or in general, information resources in agriculture. So the first source of information I want to highlight is called PubAg. So some of you may have heard of PubAg, or you may have heard of PubMed, which is another US government created database, that one in the health and medical sciences from the National Library of Medicine. But PubAg, is sharing similar types of information as PubMed, so really opening up a wealth of content in agriculture. And so this content consists of peer-reviewed research literature that is authored by USDA employees or researchers that have been funded by USDA. So you might actually be an organization that has been funded by USDA, and I know a couple of our USDA colleagues are here. And so if you do have these materials that you've been funded and you have a research article that you've created as part of that funding, we'd like to add that to PubAg. We do have some automated processes that we try to automatically harvest this content from publishers, but we're always happy if people reach out to us and self-identify research that they have created. But of course, you can also come search for research that's open, public, full text information about agricultural research that has been funded by USDA. And you may also find that other databases that you're searching in will have links into PubAg. As we have been expanding the content that is in PubAg, a lot of the database producers are really interested in connecting the open full text content into their databases. So for instance, if you're searching something like Google Scholar, you might be automatically linked into PubAg to access the full text content. The next thing I want to talk about is Agricola. So Agricola is a long-time database that we've created at the National Agricultural Library. So part of what Agricola does is share all the records for the materials in our collection. And we call that our catalog of materials. And so many of you have used libraries and are familiar with catalogs. And then the other part of Agricola is that we look at all sorts of publishing, mostly peer-reviewed journals and other types of journal articles, and then we create records for those as well and use those to supplement the content. And those are article level records. So you'll find, records from the catalog that are more at the book level that maybe aren't diving down into the contents, but the article level records will dive a little bit more deeply into the contents. And so all of these items together that we curate, we call Agricola. And this is available for free public searching online. One caveat I want to say is that we're right now in the middle of replacing our system. So the old system still works and you can use it. If you come visit it, you might think like this is like very 15 years ago, and it's a bit clunky. So we are aware of that, and we're working on making improvements, and hopefully within the next year or so, you'll see announcements that we have a new interface for Agricola. And then the last item on this slide is Ag Data Commons. So much like PubAg is used to collect peer-reviewed research literature or textual information that's created, Ag Data Commons is our catalog of data. So these could be spreadsheets or other, structured data formats. And it is both a catalog where we have a record of things. The data set does not have to, live in the data repository in Ag Data Commons. It could be at any other data repository, but we like to have a record of it. So if any research has been funded by USDA, we should have a record of data sets created through that research. And then in addition, we do have a data repository. So if there's not a subject or an institutional repository for the data, we will accept data sets in the agricultural areas. So I would recommend, if you are looking for data, I know like in farm to school world, a lot of people do GIS and mapping projects, and you might be looking for data sets that are showing like crop productions in certain areas or environmental conditions. So we have a broad range of data sets that you might consider visiting Ag Data Commons to discover and maybe download those. All right, one other thing I want to point out is something called the dictionary catalog. So I talked about Agricola being our catalog to materials in our collection. So we actually have quite a bit of historic materials, as you can imagine, since the library was founded in 1862. And we've been able to move, some records of those older items into Agricola, but we haven't actually completed that process because there's a ton of stuff. And so we do have like an old paper index, which has been digitized, that includes a lot of the historic material. And you can look for this by title, by author, and by different subject areas. And so if you are looking for like foreign or historic materials or older government documents, especially those published before 1965, then the dictionary catalog will be a really helpful research tool for you to use. And then another tool that we have, which we will feature a little bit more, is our digital collections. So the digital collections are mainly consists of these historic materials, although we do have a few things, from the later part of the 20th century that are part of some of our collections. But mainly these are historic materials that we have been digitized and created collections. So one of the specialized collections I want to draw your attention to is called Organic Roots. And so those are mainly documents that were published before 1945, when a lot more synthetic chemicals following World War II were entering agricultural production. And so we find that our organic farmers and processors today are looking to see what was done in agriculture before a lot of these synthetic chemicals were introduced. So there's a really great collection in there, but you'll find there's several other special collections that you might be interested in. And then in addition to the digital collections we have a big project with the Internet Archives to scan materials from our physical collections in the library. And so you can go to the Internet Archive at the URL shared here and search everything that's been scanned as part of that project. So these materials have not necessarily been curated, but they are just available on the internet. You might find them just doing an internet search on the topic that takes you to Internet Archives, but you can use the URL in the slide here to browse the collection as well. And then the last item on the slide is our special collections. So these are actually the rare books, the manuscript collections, which mainly are papers or correspondence of individuals. And then also we have a lot of ephemeral items. So that could be like photographs, posters. We even have really cool things like soil samples, a fiber collection. So really great material. So if you do have a very specific area you're doing research in, I would recommend connecting or contacting us, and we can connect you to our special collections if you're interested in those types of materials to supplement, you know, research beyond published or data sets.
Stephanie, I hate to interrupt you. This is Tanya. You're slightly muffled with your speaking. I'm not sure. Are you using a microphone?
Just my laptop. That's the only one I have. So sorry about that.
That's okay. Actually, it's a
I'll try
little
to
better now.
get a little closer to the microphone and make sure I'm speaking directly into it.
Thank you so much. Sorry to interrupt.
Thank you. No, that was helpful. So this slide just is showcasing some of the digital collection materials. Another digital collection I want to point out here is featured in the center slide, and this is the pomology collection. So these are actually fine artwork. So they are illustrations that were done by artists employed by USDA before photography was widely available to document new cultivars in mostly pomology, palm fruits, but also some related fruits if you see a pineapple there. So some of them are cultivars or images of things in pristine conditions, and then you'll see some of them will show you like if something's diseased or whatever. So this was for farmers and researchers and anyone to understand what the cultivars look like and what they might look like if there's a disease. But also these images are open and copyright free. And so that means that you could use these potentially for any sorts of marketing materials you might have, or if you're doing slide presentations like this one. The cherry image that we've been using is from this collection. So we do encourage you to explore the digital collections, potentially to use these images for marketing purposes, since most of these and any artwork created by USDA should be available. Vanessa, do you want to take over since it sounds like my sound isn't working very well?
Sure, I can. These are, I'll just expand on what Stephanie was just speaking about, and you'll have about 20 more seconds to look at those web links that you probably have disappeared onto to try to find these images. These are examples of seed catalogs that, again, have been scanned in. They're all high resolution. I'm just going to lift up what Stephanie said regarding marketing. These are great high resolution images that can be used for your businesses. They're open source. We just, there's a caveat that asks for, credits to be given back to the library, but that is on the website, and we're more than free to answer questions if you have them. But again, she already pointed out the cherry image that we're using here is from that collection. So thank you, Stephanie. While she comes back on, I'm going to take us into some of the specialized information centers that might be able to help you. Hold on just a second. Okay. So the National Ag Library's specialized information centers and partnerships provide access to essential information focused on certain aspects of agriculture. They're split out into sort of topics. So there are 8 information centers in total that at the library, and I'm going to just speak about a couple of them, but this slide just highlights the other ones that are available. So you have AWIC, which is animal welfare, and that is not production animals. It caters to the research audience. We have the Rural Information Center that I'm going to touch on later. There's the National Invasive Species Information Center. That's actually a beautiful website that has information. It's NISIC, it's the National Invasive. It's everything you want to know about invasive species and systems in place to sort of help correct them or ameliorate the effects of them in agriculture. We have the Ag Law Information Partnership on here, and I noticed somebody in the audience is from one of our Ag Law partners. And so this is a wonderful resource that if you want to research background on different aspects of agriculture, hot topics, they actually are having a webinar pretty quick coming up on glyphosate. So it's a very useful research center. We have food and nutrition, and then we also have the Food Safety Research Information Office on there as well. So where are they located? How do you find them? If you go to the main page of the NAL's main page site, you're going to go over to services, which to me doesn't seem intuitive. But if you click on services and scroll down, you're going to see information centers, and you click there and then they'll all pop up for you. You can select wherever you want to go. Just think of it as a service that the library is providing, perhaps. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take us into the Alternative Farming Systems Information Center. And we refer to it as AFSIC. So I love this information center because it illustrates, I think, very well the life cycle from dirt to table, at which point the Food and Nutrition Information Center would take over. So AFSIC was established in 1985 as one of the first USDA programs to focus on sustainable and organic agriculture. So now it provides information. It's expanded. Now it provides information relevant to different crop species, livestock production, pest management systems. AFSIC also houses information on post-harvest operations, including small farm business and funding tools and opportunities, various educational tools, and local regional food markets, food systems, marketing resources. So including farmers markets, farm to institution, direct marketing, value-added marketing, cooperatives, and also agritourism. So this is AFSIC's main page, just so you can see what it looks like. And you'll see on the left that there's a diverse array of topics that we're not going to go into today. On the left-hand menu, you will also be able to find, as Stephanie was just speaking about, the actual science behind agriculture, scientific research articles and news articles, news releases, and things like that. Also on the main page, you're going to find all of the USDA and federal, I've tried to host them. If you see I've missed one, please put it on there. But the federal government research programs that are supporting agriculture, doing everything to support agriculture. So it's a great place to go. I'm not going to stay here, but this is just a sampling of what happens when you click on those plus signs on the left menu. It opens up to a vast array of topics. So just pointing them out that they're there. AFSIC also has information on natural resource management. So getting into the meat of things, how are we trying to support, or how can some of the information we are providing today support supply chain efforts? So marketing channels and business options for small scale producers are as diverse as the enterprises behind them. So the marketing related pages on AFSIC include a multitude of alternative marketing ideas, like what we were just discussing: direct marketing resources, value added enterprise, regulatory programs that can enhance farming or ranching success. And these tools are designed to help ensure that there's a sync to the agricultural produce that's being sourced. So included in some of the resources are the Farmers Market Legal Toolkit, which is part of CAFS, the Center for Agriculture and Food Systems. We have Market Sizer and Hub Sizer toolkits in there. Marketing strategies for farmers and ranchers. We also have sourced the value added and processing. It's from ATRA, Sustainable Agriculture Assistance Program. We have value added agriculture from the Agricultural Marketing Resource Center. We have tools for marketing value added, and then also resources for, of course, starting your own business to go those. So there's a lot of tools for the marketing. For farm to institution, the resources we have would include access to the National Farm to School Network, guidelines and marketing tools to establishing institutional markets, resources on how to build a values-based supply chain, feasibility studies. And of course, all of this material has been sourced by what we would consider authoritative bodies. So typically they're federal agencies, there are land grant universities or university partners, resources that you can rely upon. For cooperatives and food hubs, we have items such as the Regional Food Hub Resource Guide, food systems data tutorials, access to I'm sure most of you are familiar with the Agricultural Marketing Service, AMS. We have access to AMS's Food Hub directory, and then also documentation that's designed to support your operations and research on food hubs or co-ops that you may be conducting. So some of the information will take you out to the rural development co-op programs, food hubs, and value-based food chains, and again, the tutorials. So information that supports value-based agriculture, not surprisingly, AFSIC collects and provides information on values-based agriculture. So urban agriculture, environmental justice, and food security are administrative priority ideas or areas right now. And the USDA continues to not only support these efforts, but is actively engaging agency-wide to ensure that stakeholders everywhere are extended outreach and afforded equal access to all programs that might benefit their agricultural operations. So for urban ag has experienced a significant boost in awareness in the USDA. The 2018 Farm Bill outlined a new USDA Office of Urban Agriculture and Innovative Production that has come to life really over the last 2 years. If you're interested in accessing urban agriculture, and when I say accessing, I don't mean just the information, but I mean linking maybe a rural business with urban ag and making that connection, I invite you to look over the page. As Tania mentioned before, I am a member of the OUAIP's interagency subcommittee, and I'm happy to either answer your questions or direct you to somebody that would prove more useful perhaps. Environmental justice is another significant priority across federal agencies, and I encourage you to visit the website where you'll find governing executive orders, current agency directives, informational resources, educational tools, and links to public meetings that are coming up that afford you the opportunity to listen in on environmental justice frontline activity across the government, and because it pulls into the food chain and food security and such. I update the page regularly with information as it's made available, so everything's pretty current. In the words of our previous Secretary of Ag, Sonny Perdue, the USDA is tasked to do right and feed everyone. So as such, it's no surprise that food security is found here closely linked to urban agriculture and environmental justice in terms of administrative priorities. The food security resources include access to statistical data and reports provided by the Economic Research Service, the Pesticide Data Program, links to food systems resilience information, Produce Safety Alliance curriculum, and so forth. As I am sure this audience is aware, there are various types of certifications that can be added to your products and operational practices. The farm certification page houses information on labeling from the basics to certification, organic standards and certification, and then of course, quality grading and inspections as well. As an aside, you may already be aware of the grants that have been offered over the past year to promote licensing that would open up new avenues for small meat processors and to strengthen the, that particular link in the food supply chain. There's always interesting information. So if you're curious, reach out if you don't already know about it. Tania said, I have a history in the field, breeding commercial vegetable and fruit crops. And so I'm very used to being in the dirt. And those of us who have been out in the field know that our agricultural community is rooted in diversity. Our practices in the field are forged through mutual trust, extremely hard work, and bringing everyone's knowledge to the table really helps bring that crop in on time. So fair trade we provide information on fair trade at the library, and that you can learn about fair trade in the US and abroad, as well as applying standards and certifications that are available to farms and businesses that focus on the social aspect of agricultural sustainability. Rural diversity in agriculture. So that, again, we all know this, or a lot of us know it. The 2012 census showed that there were about 152,000 minority operated farms. So Hispanic principal operators increased from 2017 to 2012 by 21%. So we're having an increase, and we have some great tools that are supporting farmers of all types on our website. Women in agriculture, of course, fulfill many roles in addition. And in 2015, they represented 38% of about 300,000 respondents involved in making decisions for farms that sold food directly in 2015. So anyway, we gather resources tied to fair trade, racial diversity, socially disadvantaged farmers, labor practices, and so on. And these would include like farm labor data and analysis, federal and state laws that apply to agricultural workers, specialized tools for women in ag that include leadership programs, learning networks, the Women's Agricultural Network, and so forth. If you're interested in finding out more about the racial diversity that exists in ag, outreach and education programs, history, and all that stuff, please take a look at the site. There's a lot of information there for you. So I'm going to transition over to the Rural Information Center for a moment to continue the discussion. But I'd first like to quickly summarize the purpose of the Information Center. So RIC provides services for rural communities, local officials, and organizations, businesses, and rural citizens that are striving to maintain the vitality of America's rural areas. So topics include community development, rural citizen services, sustainable communities, and so forth. Small farms in 2017 made up 89% of the farms in the country, but they account for 26% of production. So there is a bit of overlap on this slide because small farms is actually on AFSIC and the tribal resources are on RIC, but both pages have valuable information that support all of our community members. As I am sure you're aware, the successful development and integration of rural communities into secure food systems is an enormous priority for the USDA, and a myriad of tools are out there to help support these efforts. As an aside, as disparate as the urban and rural communities may seem, they're surprisingly similar with respect to food security, environmental justice, and access to technological tools that most of us take for granted. And of course, these tools are what help connect us and create, facilitate, our markets and things like that. Our NAL pages highlight the federal government's work as it tries to bridge some of these gaps. So we're moving on to a very popular topic, funding. I've heard stakeholders lament that it's one thing to have the government offering funding, but how do I find it? So I'm hoping that the next few slides will quickly give you some information. The links are here. I'm gonna try to just go through this pretty quickly so that we have time for Q&A. I wanna make sure that we have questions. So on the left-hand side of the screen, you're going to see where it says small farm business and funding. We have tools for business options for small producers, like business overviews. We have resources to start a new farm, farm preservation and farm transition, if you're transferring land. We have a resource guide for how to find grants and loans for farmers, and we also provide that service. Sourcing, and again, lots of farm business planning tools. And these are all, again, sourced from universities, the USDA itself, reputable resources that can help. There are also tools I didn't mention, I'm sorry, farm management as well. And okay, I mentioned a farm or a strong push, and I'm sure you guys have seen this on the news as well. There's a strong push in rural development for community development and expansion to address food security and things like that. So as such, there are quite a few grants available out there that would assist in bridging food systems gaps and possibly creating new farm to institution relationships. On the RIC homepage, if you scroll past the images down to the bottom, you're going to find the 3 cards on the left. And these will direct you to resources for small farms, as well as funding from agencies across the USDA that include Farm Service, NRCS, Rural Development, National Institute of Food and Ag, and so on. If you're a veteran like me, you'll also find funding resources targeted to both veterans and those making the transition from active duty to farming. I'm just going to touch on this very briefly. The Water and Agricultural Information Center, or WAKE, might be somewhat out of scope for today's audience, but I wanted to highlight the funding resources there, and the information may prove useful to either you or your stakeholders, or your producers as well. So WAKE focuses on the intersect of water quality and agriculture. The site has extensive resources linked to conservation practices, water quantity and quality, and so forth, as well as public policy issues, all that. The agencies listed here may seem unlikely for producers to go to them for funding, but they're actually very appropriate for growers who are coordinating different types of environmentally responsible or conservation conscious, planting, harvesting, soil maintenance practices, things like that, along with their routine business practices. So you can see like the Environmental Protection Agency, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Association, the Bureau of Reclamation. So these are all resources that you might be able to take into account if you have that component of conservation in your business plan. So we're going to roll right into our last segment. I'm going to give Stephanie the mic back and let her take over for this next slide because she's our lead for customer service. And so Stephanie, if you could pop back on.
I am here.
Okay.
I hope everyone can hear me a little bit better. Next slide. Great. So in terms of the services and support we offer, if you visit the library website, there is a contact us link at the very top of every page. So there is a form there where you can send us information about maybe a project that you're trying to do with your organization or with a farm you're working with or starting. Really any kind of agricultural research question you can send in there. We also offer a chat service. It's available Monday through Friday, 8:30 to 4:30. That's the business hours of the library. And so we're happy to chat with you, but if the chat isn't available, the online form is there. We also, if you need to do a little bit more intensive research, we do offer support for doing literature reviewing. So that is looking at databases like Agricola and other research literature databases for content in your topic area. We can't provide all the full text to you, but we can try to point you to open sources of full text, and at least we can provide bibliographic citations and abstracts to research in your topic area. And then we do coordinate all the training and outreach efforts for the library. So if you feel like you'd like a little bit more in-depth training, or if you have an organization where you'd like us to do something similar to this, or maybe even a deep dive into doing research in agriculture, feel free to reach out to me and we can coordinate that. Next slide. Oh, great. So this is the contact information. Like I said, the Ask a Question link is at the top of every page on our website. We are available by phone. Right now, the library is not open, and actually we're all still working from home. But if you do call and leave a phone message, we can get an online recording of your message and respond to you by phone. Vanessa has provided her contact information, and then we do on our web form have a drop down. So if you choose one of the topic areas that Vanessa is an expert in, we will refer the question to Vanessa. And then once we reopen, you're very welcome to come travel to Maryland and visit the library. And especially if you need to access the special collections or any of the physical historic materials in the building, you're welcome to visit. So I think we have a few minutes left for questions.
And I just want to reiterate, please don't hesitate to reach out with any questions at all. The library is staffed by some really great people who are more than happy to help and get you information, and nothing is really off the wall. So don't hesitate to reach out. And if you're a little more shy today and don't want to speak up or put it in the chat box, don't hesitate to shoot an email to us, because we would love to help.
Thank you, Stephanie. Thank you, Vanessa. Really appreciate you taking the time to share all of these resources with us. I feel like we could do weekly tutorials on all these different sections and give people the in-depth information. But the overview is really great. And I think the timing is great too, because there are a number of grant opportunities and programs that are being released that I think that the USDA library resources could be a huge help with. And of course, we're second semester on campuses and a lot of theses are happening, and the type of literature that you offer is really helpful there too. So many different ways this can be helpful. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the Q&A or into the chat. I know that one that came in ahead of time also is that, and that you sort of highlighted very briefly on one slide, was there was some information on aquaculture, and that folks were asking about seafood related resources. So perhaps you could just take a moment to touch on those, because I don't think that people necessarily associate the USDA with seafood, but you do have resources there as well.
Yeah, we actually have a research, we have a few research centers. One of them is in Maine. Hold on just a second, and I'm pulling up.
Yeah, and I was going to say, at one point in time, we did have an aquaculture information center that kind of became part of AFSIC eventually, since AFSIC does cover a lot of niche agriculture topics. Right. And I think
I just put
much like-
it in our chat.
Oh, okay, great. I was
Yeah.
going to say, much like in the regulatory environment, there's a little bit of like crossing the lines between what's NOAA and fisheries related and what is more agriculture, aquaculture related. But we do have, like, I think, some very general information. And then of course we do have like some research services, so we can, you know, kind of add things where fisheries and, like, you know, the sea to school type programs and how like marketing for those kinds of things work. And Vanessa, you might have some more updated information.
I'm smiling at one of the comments in the chat. I'm grateful for the comments in the chat. No, I just, it's interesting. I just filled out a reference request on aquaculture. So no, there's tons of information there. NIFA also has some, but I think I put, oh, the interagency group is there. But yeah, we have our regional information centers. Just reach out, because there are a lot of aspects to aquaculture. I'm sorry, Tanya, did they have a specific question, or were they?
Wondering more about the relevance into the seafood sector. And so you've answered that. Appreciate it.
Okay.
So we are coming close to the top of the hour and want to respect people's time. However, if anyone has any additional questions, as Vanessa and Stephanie have both noted and was called out in the chat, they're very available to help, particularly if you have something specific that you're not sure you want to raise in front of everyone on the webinar right now. No worries. There are many opportunities to be able to connect and find out more about the things and the resources that might be helpful to you, a project you're working on, initiative you're interested in. So we really encourage you to tap into those resources. And thank you all for joining us. I would love to just highlight a couple of other ways you can continue to engage with FINE. If you are involved in a dining operation at an institution, whether that's as a dining director, as a nutrition director, sustainability point person, procurement folks, we welcome you to join us on the Dining Operator Listserv. It's a great place for peer-to-peer connections to connect with folks who are dealing with the same kinds of issues that you are. We also have a Farm and Sea to Campus Network Facebook group, which is where we encourage folks to share events that may be going on, things that are happening within their institutions, on their farms, in your businesses. It's a great place to connect as well. And we welcome your ideas. So please feel free to email me with suggestions you have for topics, things that you think FINE might be able to help with, issues that you're dealing with that you're not seeing addressed elsewhere, information you'd like to have. We welcome all of that. And we do have a survey that will pop up at the end of this webinar. So we hope you take just a few minutes. There's only, I think, 4 questions. If you did find our interpretation and captioning useful, we'd love it if you'd add a comment about that as well. And if there are other ways that we can improve accessibility in our webinars, we'd love to hear about that from you. And then we welcome your feedback on this particular webinar as well. Finally, I just want to say thanks for joining us. I hope you all get a chance to log into the library, check things out, and follow up. If you find that this was useful, please let us know. We'd love to hear about what worked for you. Thank you for joining us. And thank you to Vanessa, to Stephanie, to your colleagues who I know who are helping behind the scenes as well. And then finally to Deborah and Janice, who provided interpretation into American Sign Language for us. We're so grateful for the work that you did for us today and to help with this. And thank you also to Teddy for the live captioning, also very useful and so helpful to us to have that. Thank you all for the work that you're doing. We appreciate it. Hope to see you soon.